Well, welcome to Paula's Paper Play, and today we are doing Stamperia's The Owl's House. So there's several items, and I'll be giving you lots of demos, but let me just show you. This is one of the cards that I've done, and you can see that it's using, well, I guess you can't see, some rub-ons, some die cuts, as well as some of the beautiful papers. So won't you please come play with us? Well, before I get into the projects, let me just kind of walk you through what we have here. As always, we're going to start with the papers because that's the foundation. It's called The Owl's House. These are 8x8 papers, and there are 10 double-sided papers in here. So let me just show you a lot of cutouts that you can use, and I did use a couple of them. Well, you can start, it begins with the owl, and let me just flip this so you can see these are very sturdy papers. And we've got Santa, and in fact that's on the card that I just showed you. So you can see a whole scene as well as that, and another scene which was an inspiration for me, and another one. And so there's the back of it. A lot of cutouts. These are just straight cuts, so super easy to do with your paper trimmer. And the back side is even gives you another option there, and then some more. And as always, there will be another option here, and then some others as well, as a border, some circles, some tags, again the back side, and then some other cutouts. So just lots of goodies here. There are two rub-on sets. This is the Owl's Nest, and then this is called Santa, so you can kind of see the difference. And then the die cuts, there are 41 here. And many of them are just very large sizes, like this is over 3 inches. And this little rocking horse is, again, 3 inches. And there are some larger ones, and they were really my inspiration for these cards. So we will set this aside and get started. My first card is using that very first sheet in the book, as you can see. And this is the Tent Slimline cards. As you can tell, that the fold is at the top, comes from our friends at Hunky Dory. And I didn't do a whole lot to this. I just really wanted to start off very simply and really take advantage of the artwork. So I did use this paper, and again, it's 8 inches. So this is going to take not quite half of it. And I did ponder. I wanted to do some inking on the edge. So this is what I do with the ink pads. And this gives me all the blue ones, and it kind of gives me a way to decide what I want to use. So I can just go like this right next to the paper, or set the paper on top of it, and see which one is going to work. And obviously some are better than others. I did elect to go with blueberry. And that's actually what I used on several cards. The other thing I did is, you have seen me, let's see, let me give this to you so you can see it. This is, could be a piece of acetate. This happens to be a sheet protector because I had it on my desk. And for me to take the card and then draw the lines, then I can play this game. I can decide, gee, where do I want, what do I want to use, what area? Yeah, I could have done that on the same type of card, and it just gives me a foolproof, quick way to make those decisions. So that's exactly what I did in doing this one. And then I decided that because I had paper left over, I was going to use this side on the inside of the card. Worked really well. Let me show you. So I'm going to finish with the front of the card first, okay? So I did the inking, put it on my craft mat, which is actually what I work on, and dipped my blending brush into the blueberry and just brought it into the edges. And you can see, let's see, let me bring this sheet back. I'm not going to get rid of this. You can see the difference between doing that inking and just how the paper comes. And I think it just frames the paper quite nicely. So that's my thinking. And then I wanted to do a little bit of embellishing. So I did go to my Dazzles, and I elected to use, these are the oval borders, which we've just had not too many months ago, and this is the colorful set, as you can see, and I use the blue ones. Now, the thing with these, Jeanette, will you get in really close? There are the oval borders, and you can see it here. There are 3 sizes in the package, but there's also this piece that is in between them. So I used both of those on this card, and I just wanted to point that out, that you do get the oval border, but you get this other border too. So that's nice. And then to add to the snowflakes, I use the white snowflakes sheet, and that has 3 different sizes of snowflakes. And I didn't want these to be in your face. I could have used some blue ones, but I elected to go with the white. I just wanted to keep the attention here on the owl. Winter Wonderland is from our Christmas Tiny Words and Phrases. This has 5 different sheets in it, and I elected to keep it again with the more muted. So Winter Wonderland is what it says. I could have gone with the black one, and it would have been really pronounced. I chose not to do that, but that's certainly not a bad decision. Okay, now going to the inside of the card, like I said, this is the other part of the inside. And I did the same thing so far as inking it on the edge with the blending brush. However, when you get up here, I did that after I had attached it to the card. Now, if you had inked it to begin with, that would be fine, but I didn't. I put it on the card, so I had to take a Post-it note, this very Post-it note, and place it on the edge so that I could do the inking without messing up the inside of my card. So I used that, and Post-it notes always come in handy, don't they? And again, I elected to put, now there's 2 borders here. I elected just to put 1 on the inside. I did use more of the snowflakes, and then this Wise Winter Wishes, this is one of the cutouts. Pretty simple to do, so I glued that there. And then I elected to go into the rub-ons. Now, this is from the Owl's Nest rub-ons. You can see the owls down there. I did have to trim a little bit off because I didn't want them going on top of the house, because you would end up seeing some of the wood through the rub-on. And let me just show you, when you are doing any of the rub-ons, I'm looking for my sample. Here it is. Okay. Here we go. You'll just kind of cut it out. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to disappear. Okay. Then you want to position your paper, and I'm just going to use this sample, and you will lift up the plastic and remove the paper. Now, when you do that, be sure wherever you put this down, that's where you want to be, because it will stick, and you won't be able to lift it back up again. So this is one of those things you have to do right on the first time. So let's say I want to put it, I want to do it in a light area. Well, let's try here. So I'm just going to place it down, and I'm going to take a bone folder. That's really what I use. We'll get in closer so you can see. And you want to burnish it, so you're going to rub it. That's just the fancy term. And it will kind of get lighter as you're rubbing it because it's attaching to the paper. And you want to be careful to go all over it because it will, if you haven't secured it down, it will pull. And you want to be really careful of that. So, okay, so I have done this. And I'm going to just lift up the plastic, but I'm not going to just pull it because that would be a mistake. I want to lift it and see if I've done enough with the burnishing. So here comes the plastic, and I'm going to lift it. Okay, and it's lifting just fine. See, let me get you in an angle where you can see it. And here we go with his ear. So I want to do this slowly and carefully. I don't care how often you've done this, but this is what I would recommend so far as removing that top plastic, because you just want to make sure that you're going to get everything down on your paper. And so far, I'm doing a really good job. Isn't that nice? Okay, there you go. Now, if any part had not lifted up, because I'm holding it down and I'm not, you know, just pulling it right away, I can just burnish it again and that will make it stay. Now, you can probably see there's some of the wood showing. Now, that's not a problem. You just want to know about it. So generally, the lighter the area, the better. And it just looks like it's all part of it. It's just perfect. And then you throw that away. So that's how you do, those are my demonstrations for rubbing on. And so I did that on the inside right here. So that way I have my owl on the front, I have my little band of owls down here. Like I said, I did have to trim off down here, and I wanted to do that before I placed the rub-on in position. Again, more of the snowflakes, and everything is very muted except for the artwork, and that just really stands out, which is exactly what I wanted to have happen. Okay, so that is card number 1. Now card number 2, I will tell you, I was just really captivated by the die cuts because they're so large and they're just really beautifully done. This piece right here is a rub-on, is a die cut, blah, 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 is a die cut right there. And the paper that I used, in fact, when we were going through the book, I kind of paused there. There, this is the paper. Now, in order to make it fit on my card, and I did want to leave a white border on my card because I've got a white little curtain and I've got white snow in here. I've got some white down here. So I wanted that to kind of mirror what's going on. That worked nicely. I did need to trim a little bit off the top. So the part that I trimmed was this much, about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, not quite 1/4 of an inch. Just to make sure that I would get enough of this, that I would have enough room for this very large die cut. So I did my paper and glued it down. I did ink the edge with, I believe, Velvet Fawn. That's kind of one of my go-tos for light wood. This piece, let me just measure it. It is 4 inches, so it's really significant. I love the idea of this is inside your house, the pine boughs, the curtain, and you're looking out the window. So I thought that was really fun. Now the white winter is a little cutout, and I just trimmed it out, and everything is glued down. Nothing is foam taped at this point, so you can see this is kind of tucking under that die cut. I did want to get some dimension, so I used the caviar beads to go over where the little berries were. So let me demonstrate that. And I've got this piece, which is another part of it. There's some berries right in there, and the caviar beads come in a plastic bag, which is very handy. You can use any of the glues. You can use E6000, you can use the Cosmic Shimmer, you can use the Precision Press, which is what I'm going to use, because I'm doing the Precision Press because it has that small opening. You can use the small squeeze-on bottles for the Cosmic Shimmer. That'll work beautifully. So any of that will work. The caviar beads come in several different colors. Obviously, if I'm doing berries, I'm going to use red. So I'm going to ask us to get even a little bit closer. Now these berries are really tiny, so I'm going to just do a couple of blobs of glue. That's the technical term. So I'm going to squeeze this on. I'm going to make them larger than what the berries are because I think it shows better. Okay, so I'm just doing 3. Now I want to get my cap on my glue because with this tiny opening, I don't want it to dry up at all. And just squeeze it, okay, because there's a needle in the cap that goes into the opening. Okay, so I've got that. I'm holding it over a coffee filter. I don't drink coffee, but the filters are good for this purpose. And I'm just going to dump my caviar beads on top. And I'm going to tap them off. And when I do that, you can see what happens is that they're going to go onto the glue. Now, I kind of like my berries were close together, but you can see that I've got 3 pieces there. Now, when I was doing them on the card, I just went into each teeny tiny one. So I kind of have these berry globules there, but it does the trick and it shows exactly what I wanted, and they're going to stay right there. Okay, now going to the inside of my card. Okay, I'm going to go back to the front for a second. Remember, these papers are 8 inches, so I've got like 4 3/4 here, but I have another piece left. And I decided that I wanted to create a scene. Remember when I was showing you the papers, that the scenes that they have, like this one and like that one? Well, that was really my inspiration. I thought, okay, I've got these gorgeous die cuts. Why don't I use them and create a scene? So I took the rest of the paper, I inked it on the edge with velvet fawn, and just glued it in the middle of my card. Okay, take my berry off. And so that again is my background. This is one piece, this table. The welcome and the star are each individual pieces. You can see this has got cupcakes, it's got all kinds of things on it. This little basket with that owl, I foam taped that underneath right there. And that just worked really well for me. And the reason why I wanted to have something there is because I was covering up this envelope that is on the paper. So you can see this is the full sheet of paper. We'll back up just a smidge so you can see the whole thing. Okay, the front went there. And then I had this piece left. And I wanted to use it. I was really kind of driven to use it, but I wanted to cover this up because that just didn't seem to fit in the way I was going. So I used my little owl in the basket. We'll get closer back to him. And this is just one piece, so you can see all the art. I did foam tape it so it rested on top of this other die cut. And this one, let me just show you, that is 4.5 inches wide by about 3.5 inches tall. So as I said, it's significant. I really wanted to use them. Like I said, there were 41 in the package, so why not? And the welcome became my greeting on the inside. And then in using this, you can write your message right here. So that will work nicely. Okay, so my second card. Okay, now my third one. Okay, this is the one I showed you in the beginning, this sparkly one. And in this one, I wanted to do the rub-on also. But this house is one of the die cuts. So the paper that I chose, and let me show it to you. Yes, okay. So this is the paper that I wanted to use. Okay, we'll back up just a smidge. Okay, it's just this side. So it's got the pine boughs and the snow, but it also has this darling little squirrel. Okay, so what I did is when I cut the paper to go on the front of my card, I was very careful and very aware that I wanted to save him. And by saving him, I wanted to be able to do something with this area and this area. Because see, I'm just going to cut this piece, okay? So you don't want to just go whack, because this is what I wanted to do on the inside. I wanted to tear it. And when you tear it and then ink it, you're going to get a really neat edge that goes very dark because of the torn paper, because it is it's printed obviously on the top, but on the inside of it, it's not printed. So it tends to absorb that ink, and I think it just does a really nice job. So my advice is to pay attention to your whole sheet and think about what you want to do on the inside while you're working on the outside. Okay, so I did cut that, and I did ink it with blueberry again. And as I said, this house is one piece. It's one of the die cuts, but I really wanted to add something to it. So remember, I did the owls on the first card. Well, I wanted to do this bunny because the bunny sitting next to that house just seemed perfect to me. Now, I could have done the deer, or I could have done the squirrel, I could have done several, but I elected to do him because he just fit. Now, I did have to cut a bit of the rub-on off, so I saved it for you. So this is the part that I cut off because that would make it too long. So I just trimmed it before I rubbed it in place. Then I wanted it to be sparkly. This whole look is very light colors. So like I said, I just really wanted to play with that. And the thing that I used is diamond dust. I think this is just a whole season of showing you different ways to do snow. So the diamond dust is quite perfect to use. And let me show you. I'm going to do a little bit of it on this piece. Again, I'm going to bring in a coffee filter, and I'm going to use the same precision glue press. And I'm going to be showing you this with the diamond dust, and then I'll be showing you a different one. And I'm just going to kind of go on the highlights of the snow that's in the art. So you're really just highlighting what the artist has already done. And depending on how much you want, how thick of a glue strip that you want to do. Now again, this has got a needle in the cap, and I want to insert that needle into that tip. Okay, so I'm going to put this over my coffee filter. I'm going to take my diamond dust. Diamond dust is really glass, and you just sprinkle it. Sprinkle and tap off the excess, and that is what you get. And the only thing you want to remember is let it dry. So you don't want to put your card in an envelope right away. You want to let it dry. And you can always go back and add more, no problem. But that's one way to do it. And as always, you can just return the excess to the container, and you find that you use very little. And even though this is glass, I can press down on this, and I'm not going to get cut. I don't get cut. So it's fine. I wouldn't have really small children around because that's not safe, but certainly older children are fine. Now, I did do the same thing as I did on that first card, and I used the same dazzles of the tiny words, Christmas tiny words and phrases. For the same reason, I really wanted that to just be there but not overpower. I really wanted the other areas to be the focal. Okay, now the inside of the card, I've already shown it to you. So this, as you know, I tore. And when you're tearing, as most of you I'm sure know, if you tear it one way toward you, you're going to get, and this is heavy paper, you're going to get a white edge. Now that white edge is really going to absorb the ink, so that's nice. If you pull this away from you, you will not get a white edge. You just get the paper edge, which will not take as much ink. Okay, so I did leave this side straight because that was the edge of the paper, and I cut that one straight, and I tore the top, and I tore this. Kind of looks like a boot, doesn't it? And then I placed it on my craft mat, and I inked it with the blueberry. And then the white winter, now you saw the white winter earlier. This is a cutout, but this is a die cut. Okay, so you get several options. So I just went in and I wanted to add the same diamond dust that I did on the front. So I have a message on the inside and I have a message on the outside. Okay. Now, like I said, I was just really captivated by these die cuts. So that's why they're so prominently used. Okay, now I really wanted to use the Santa because after all, this is Christmas. And so I elected to use the one on the rub-ons. So right here, and it's titled Santa Rub-Ons. And the paper that I chose was this one. It's just the winter scene. Now there is a sheet in here. This is the winter scene, okay? And of course it's just perfect because I wanted to put Santa, the rub-on has Santa with the deer. Well, he's not going to be in the house. He's sitting on a log, so we're going to have that as part of the scene. And then I thought, remember that the buck that I did not use on one of the earlier cards, this is perfect to use it here. Now there is a sheet of paper that has Santa, but I used it on a different project. Yeah, so there's Santa. It's a beautiful scene, but I used that on my previous card, so I couldn't use it there, but that could be my inspiration, so which is what I used. So I trimmed down that outdoor scene paper. Same thing, inked it with the blueberry, just really used that on all of these. And then I decided what I wanted to do, how I wanted to place my rub-ons. So obviously I've got Santa and the deer kind of forward on the right-hand side looking into the card. And then I have the buck on the left. And I wanted to add some snow to it. I didn't use the diamond dust. But I did use the soft snowfall. So it's exactly the same way. Now I keep mine in a plastic container and I have used a lot of it. In fact, I only started with about a third of the package because I was sharing it with Debbie. And you're going to do the exact same thing. So let me just do it here. I'm going to take Cosmic Shimmer is perfectly good. I'll use this because I have it right in my hands. And you just do the same thing. You just put a massive glue wherever you want there to be snow, but you want to close that up before you go on to the next move. Okay, there we go. And all I do is kind of scoop snow over it. Okay, tap it off. And that's exactly what I did with the caviar beads, with the diamond dust. And you can see the difference. The diamond dust is sparkly. The soft snowfall is soft. Both of these, in fact, all of these are going to need to dry. So that's kind of nice. You can see the difference and you can choose what you like. I kind of like to use them all. We also have the snow marker, that pen that allows you to just do that, and then you heat it with a glue gun. So that is worthwhile. Now in this case, in the other cards, I went with dazzles that were silver that kind of disappeared on the card, but they were there and they're sparkly. This time I wanted to accent Santa's red jacket. And I did that with the Believe, same package, the Christmas Tiny Words and Phrases. And then I took a ribbon. This is out of the red ribbon set. And this is a 1/4 inch ribbon, and simply wrapped it around and knotted it. And then I did take a Zot, cut it in half, and I just put a little bit under the edge so this isn't going to travel. I just wanted it to stay. Okay. On the inside, okay, I have another scene, and this is on that blue wood, which of course got cut and inked. And this is one of the die cuts. The Home Sweet Home is another. But the clock and the wooden puppet and the teddy bear are all rub-ons. So all of those go to make my little scene. And I thought it was nice to have Santa on the outside in the snow playing with the deer and then coming into a warm fireplace and all the toys around and a home sweet home message. So that's what we've got. Okay, so I had fun with this. And it's nice to be doing the outdoorsy, the woodland scenes too. And of course, as I said, I was just really thrilled with those large die cuts. So this is a Stamperia, And this is the owl's house. I kept thinking it was the owl's nest, but it's the owl's house. We've got 2 rub-ons, the owl's house, and then we have the Santa. And we also have that marvelous package of die cuts, 41 pieces in them. And the ones that I showed you, that bear and the rocking horse, I did not use that. I did use some of the smaller ones. There are tons of smaller ones, but there's just a lot of big ones. There's a beautiful deer and a clock and a book. So all of those are fun. Okay, this is the Money Saver. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. It's home. That's where we always have it. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube, we'd love it if you would leave any comment. Lene watches those and will respond to you. And please sign up for a subscription to that. That's free. And head on over to paperwishes.com, because that's the only place you're going to see these projects. There are instructions down below. I've written them out for you, so you can print them or you can keep them and just give you some information. And we would absolutely love to have you come back and visit us. We have about 26 webisodes every single month. And very soon, we're going to start having a Friday, Flashback Friday, where we're going to re-show you some of the ones you may have missed and ones that have been very popular. So that's going to be fun. So thank you for joining us, and thank you, Stamperia, for doing wonderful products. And thank you so much for being part of our Paper Wishes family. We'll see you actually tomorrow. Bye-bye.